What do you want, baby?
I don't care. I was just pushing them down.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the special town meeting. We are going to start. I know there's a few more people that are being checked in, but they'll be with us in a moment. All right. State of Maine to Stanley Hackett, Constable of Town of Limerick in the County of York, State of Maine. Greetings. In the name of State of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Limerick in said county and state qualified by law to vote in town affairs to meet at the Limerick Fire Station, 23 School Street, Limerick, Maine, in said town on 19th of February 2026 AD at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, then and there to act upon the following articles. Article 1, to choose a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Do I have any nominations? Do I have a second?
Oh,
So we have to do this by secret ballot. I know I gave you guys little slips of paper. If anybody who would like to vote by secret ballot, please write any name that you wish on those slips of paper, and I will come around and get them. By unanimous vote, Stanley Hackett is your moderator for tonight. Stan, you want to come up here so I can swear you in? You gotta write your name first. I'm just gonna read right there. Raise your right hand, please. You can take it.
Start at Deedee Tibbetts. I, Stanley Hackett, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof. So help me God. I, Stanley Hackett, do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as moderator of this meeting according to the Constitution and laws of the state. So help me God.
Thank you. Could you sign?
That's
I knew I was gonna get something wrong. Do you need the warrant?
I got it.
You have it?
I printed one off the website.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We are at the special town meeting. You've already done Article 1, which is choose the moderator. So briefly, we are going to use the moderator's guide approved by Maine, in which is the 8th edition to 2025 edition. Some of the very basic rules is when you speak, please speak to the moderator, not to individuals or to the board. Address all remarks and all questions, as I just said, to the moderator. Remarks must be relevant to the motion. Debate will generally alternate between those in favor and those opposed. Please, no finger pointing or arguing. Raise your hand to be recognized by the moderator and stand while speaking, and actually probably have to come up here where the mic is since we don't have another mic. Refrain from making negative remarks. A motion, once it has been made and seconded, then we will open it up for debate. If it's a motion to amend, we will deal with that and then move back to the debate and then move forward to the final vote. All right. That being said, we're going to move to Article 2. Shall the town vote to transfer $138,000 from the undesignated fund balance G1-520-00 to the capital reserves account G3524-00? The select board recommends yes, the budget committee recommends no. Note to this, transferring the $138,000 will provide funding for the following articles. Passed on March 14th, 2025 warrant. Article 17, transfer $30,000 project SCBA devices for the fire department. Article 18, transfer $40,000 project paving and utilities improvements at the municipal building. Article 23, transfer $30,000 project second egress for the Brick Town Hall. Article 25, transfer $38,000 project playground, and it's missing the rest. Playground and picnic pavilion at the ball field. A warrant article authorizing the transfer of $138,000 from undesignated funds balance was inadvertently not presented to the voters on March 14, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. Is there a motion?
Accept the article as written, or read.
I'm sorry?
I accept the article as read.
Your motion to accept the warrant? So there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there any comment or questions? Brady,
Do you want me to come up there?
you can speak, but you got a mic.
I just want to make a comment. I printed this off to read. I want to make sure I got it all down. We're here to discuss some warrant articles. However, I do have an important update regarding two of them. At 11:13 this morning, Wade and myself were forwarded an email from the auditing firm confirming that the 2024 audit is complete, just pending my signature. After speaking with our auditor and treasurer, we've clarified that the negative balances currently showing in these accounts are due to pending journal entries that have not been finalized in the system yet. Once these entries are posted and signed off, those balances should, according to our treasurer, no longer be negative. I do want to be transparent. While these articles were reviewed beforehand by both the select board and the treasurer, there were no recommendations for changes other than wording. It now appears the issues may resolve themselves once the paperwork catches up to the software. However, we do have to proceed as planned, and I just wanted you all to have this context before we vote on this.
Thank you. Are there any questions on what you just heard? Neil?
Neil Meltzer. I'm confused. I heard what Brady just said, and it seems like this article isn't necessary because there's journal entries that have not been processed yet, that when they're processed, there won't be negative balances, and there won't be a need to transfer the funds. So I'd like some clarification on that, please.
Can the board clarify your statement?
I mean, I can clarify the statement that I made. After speaking, like I said, with the auditor and Julie, the statement I made was, did we jump the gun on scheduling a special town meeting with the issues that were presented to us by a citizen who was reviewing the financials? The response that I got was, yes, we did. However, I wish we would have. I wish we would have known when these articles were presented by us to the department that, hey, these journal entries will be fixed once the audit is completed. So it's hard to say from what I read in my conversations with the treasurer and the auditor is that once the journal entries are approved, posted, confirmed, whatever it will be, that the accounts that we are voting on tonight will no longer be negative, and the necessary need to move the money will not be needed, is what I was told last night.
So you just don't have to put it on the ballot?
What was that?
You just don't have to put it on the ballot?
Yeah, it's already on the ballot, so I think we still have to vote on it.
So-
This money it's a correcting journal entry from our auditor. It was presented to the voters properly previously, and it just the money wasn't moved in our system.
So what I'm understanding, and correct me to be clear, is what he is saying, that once the journal entries are made from the audit, that this warrant article may not be necessary to move monies from the undesignated account to the capital reserve or to the designated account for the other projects, because you have already voted on it previously.
Can I speak to that? So, if I'm understanding this correctly, what prompted the article was that there were negative balances in accounts, in these two, in the capital reserve account. And what we've just learned, and I appreciate the candor, sometimes things take time. And I know it's hard when you don't have the auditor here to speak or someone else who could speak directly to it. So thank you for that. What I'm understanding is that the articles were prompted because there was thought to be a negative balance in the capital reserve account and not enough funding to pay for articles that have been approved in March. We've just learned that there is indeed enough money in those accounts. There's just some timing on some journal entries that need to be made. And once those are done, then the account will be funded sufficiently to pay for these expenses. Is that correct?
From the information I have received from the treasurer and the auditor and the draft warrant of the audit, or the draft of the audit, is that correct? That the money will be in the capital project reserve account to fund these accounts. They're not reflecting in the system. I mean, you guys have seen it too, so they're not reflecting in the system yet because a button hasn't been pushed,
Okay.
is what I'm being told. So the reports, when you see them, show a negative balance because the entries have not been approved. They've been made, but they haven't reflected the changes in the account.
So so that would mean to me that we don't need to approve this article because the funding is there. And if we did approve the article, we would inadvertently be moving funding from an area that we shouldn't be moving it from to an area that doesn't need it. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if you vote for it in the wording that it is currently, it will impact your tax rate. Whereas you voted in March of 2025, it was already out of the general fund or never was in the general fund, so it will not affect your tax rate. But because it is a warrant article and the special town meeting was called, the people have to either vote for it or vote against it. It can't be withdrawn.
So again, just to clarify, our understanding is that there is enough money to pay for the expenditures that were approved. If we approve this article, we're going to wind up taking funds from an area that is usually used to decrease taxes or help pay for taxes, and it'll increase the taxes. And that is not necessary, based on
That-
what we've learned.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So, is there any more questions or comments? Steve?
Steve McLean, Budget Committee. The reason the Budget Committee voted no is because of just what's been revealed. It just never got entered. The money was there, it was never transferred to where it was supposed to be. So we should vote no on this article because the money's already there. If we vote yes, we'll be doubling the money, which is wrong. So we want to vote no on the article. The money is there for all of these individual things. So I say move the question.
Is there any other questions? John?
Do you know the dollar amount of the corrections that need to be made?
I don't have that number in front of me.
So once these corrections are made,
There's a lot of them,
a lot of corrections,
yes.
but we don't know what will be in the capital reserve account. We don't know yet, or do we know?
That's on the audit. You have that?
Yep. As of the 17th of this month, we had $8,799,975.91 in that account.
$8 million?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Oh, no, pardon me. I
No
looked at the-
taxes for
I looked at
everybody.
the-
Let's
I looked
stop
at the-
buying.
I looked at the wrong line.
Okay,
It's $2,873,717.21.
in the capital reserve account.
And the G's 520 account.
What, that's
That's undesignated.
the undesignated account.
Right.
No, the capital, so the question here is to move money from the undesignated account to these individual capital reserve accounts. We're being told we don't have to do that because somebody says somewhere, we have enough money in the capital reserve account. What does your paperwork show that as of that date is in the capital reserve account?
$110,450.69.
That's not enough. That doesn't cover these.
That's straight from the account on Tuesday.
Does 110 or negative 110?
110.
That's the current balance without the adjustment.
That's from the, no, that isn't adjusted for the simple reason that was taken right off the audit for 2024, the end of 2024.
So I'll try to ask again. When these entries are made, does anybody know how much money will be in the capital reserve account?
I don't know right now.
You don't know.
Are there any other questions or comments? Lisa?
Lisa LePage. I have two questions. One, where's Julie?
We're looking for numbers. Howard, you can't come up with it. You're the liaison, so where's Julie? Question number one. Question number two, in the land sales, we had approximately $549,000 minus fees and taxes, whatever comes out of it. Where's that money?
I can speak
Ask
for
him.
myself. I've asked the treasurer to provide me the account where that is back in January. I'm still waiting for that response.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Wendy?
So I looked at the audit that was on the website, the draft audit as of 9/25 for 2024. And the balance for the capital reserve account was $482,000 approximately. That would take care of these items that we're talking about because they were done at the beginning of the year, 2025. So my question is, the $110,000 that you quoted is a debit balance to a reserve account, and reserve accounts have credit balances. So that has to swing around at least $220,000 to make it positive. But my question is, when will the audit be, the final audit be available for everybody to review?
As of 11 a.m. this morning, I was forwarded an email saying I need to sign a document.
You need to sign it. As soon as you sign it, it will be posted on the website?
As soon as I sign it and we get the word draft taken off of it, we'll post it on the website.
And then when will it show on the audit compared to the general ledger, those numbers proven back to the audit?
That would have to be a question for the treasurer. I would hope and assume immediately. According to our auditor, it was that once there was I don't have that email printed off. Once that document is signed, there's a button in this magical system that corrects it.
Yeah, because there's other accounts here. The Hollandville revitalization has a debit balance of $975,000 plus. Then you have the fire station capital account has $217,000 a debit balance. I'm refraining from using negative because it gives a bad connotation of what's going on. We know that we do know we have the money. We do know we have about 2.8 million in unassigned, but we don't know the actual capital account balances, and that's what people are waiting for. Hopefully, we don't have to revisit this again after everything is compared 24 to 24. I know that we're on 25 now, which has to get done.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one quick question maybe that I don't expect an answer right now. We took in $75,000 for the Moore building. No expenses, no fees. It was one check we received for a total sum of $75,000. That check should have been deposited in the bank, and that money should have immediately, by our vote of the people, transferred to the capital reserve account. Can somebody on this board, Howard, you're the liaison with the treasurer, can you ask the treasurer and get an answer where that money is and why it hasn't been transferred to the capital reserve account?
All I know right now is once that audit was done, we still have to do work on 2025.
But the work on, but this is.
I know what you're saying.
It's one transaction that
Right.
should take, I don't know, a competent person 30, 40 seconds maybe. The money should have been brought in, and that money should have immediately been put in the capital reserve account. And I'm not even talking about the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of other land sales, because those ones should have taken maybe somebody 2 or 3 minutes instead of 20 seconds, because there was other expenses involved. I want to know why that $75,000 was not brought in and immediately put in the capital reserve account as our vote. We vote every year to put sales into that account. Can you find that answer?
I can find it out.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Wendy?
To make you feel somewhat better, I did a calculation myself over time, and I did it the way that people have laughed at, that I go back and revisit all these transactions. So I come up with these debit balance accounts of $1,312,000. Right now, when you're unassigned on the ledger, it shows that we have $4,142,000 plus, which is incorrect. I come up with what we should have in unassigned is $2,830,000. That's not far from what the auditor has. So I think you're good. But these questions need to be, I know people make mistakes and they run out of time, but you know, the time is moving, people are moving, and they want answers as soon as they can get them. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
My only question is, why isn't our treasurer here? I mean, is it not in her job description? I mean, we need all the help we can get, right, to figure this out, to work together. Why does she not show up?
All I was told, Rick, she had 2 previous meetings she had to go to.
And this was posted, this meeting was posted.
I know.
I think this meeting should take priority in her work, seeing how we've had a lot of problems. Everything from W-2s to 1099s to not knowing what we have for balances. We're kind of stuck here. You know, she should be here to work with us. If she doesn't want to, I suggest she resigns.
Okay. Just to remind everyone, we need to stick to the warrant articles and the topic on discussion. Derogatory remarks, regardless, don't solve anything. So, again, are there any other questions or comments?
Hi, my name is Carrie Beeson. My question is, should we even be voting then, since we don't have it resolved, and I know I'm new to this, but it seems silly to me personally to proceed on a vote on this when we don't even know where the accounts are gonna actually land. Since, I mean, you gentlemen, as was just pointed out, the woman that apparently has the answers isn't present. So I don't know if anyone else agrees if that's something that we should postpone, because it's difficult being a resident and watching these meetings and still feeling like we're just pushing things down the road and it's not getting resolved. And I know everyone here is here because they want a resolution.
And that is true and a good question, but we have already heard from the select board that according to the auditors, once the adjusting entries have made, it will clear these accounts, okay? Again, there was a question of when. There's a lot of depending on the amount of the adjusting entries, and my understanding there's a lot. But again, the answer to that is, according to the accountants, these negative balances and accounts will be put back into where they belong with accurate figures once these adjusting entries are made. The answer to the other question, because it's a warrant article and it is a special town meeting, you either have to vote for them or against them. They can't be withdrawn. We could stay the meeting to a different date, but it's better to either vote it up or vote it down. So, thank you,
He's done this
Deedee.
a time or
I
two.
just wanted to clarify a little bit more. So, are there any other questions? Tony?
At the water district, we use the same auditing firm. When their audit comes in and we sign it, we're saying that that audit is correct. So if you sign the audit and the corrections aren't made, you're signing an incorrect audit. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Judy?
Okay, so I was the one that receipted the tax-required property. Trio system is set up in cash receipting with account numbers. At the time, it was a general account of 186. Okay, so that wasn't a general account. So I went in and I ran for the whole year, or did in tax required, under the G1186 account. It was $313,963.83. Under the G113114 account, which is tax acquired, that's not in Trio, $155,532.43. I spoke with the treasurer, and there is a journal correction that the auditors made to move the $155,532.43 that was in the G account, to move it into the capital reserve account, along with the $313,963. So she has to just go in and put it in. And if, like I said, the numbers, I made sure that that she was told from the auditor to adjust into accounting matches what was, I did cash receipt into the other account.
Judy, that is for 2024.
24, yeah, because we didn't do no tax acquired in 25.
Yes, we
Well,
did, but
minimal. You weren't
again,
close,
this is just for the year of 2024. So it doesn't account for all of it, but this is the discrepancy. Wendy?
So one last thing to the select board. When I asked about when the audit's going to be presented, you're going to review the general ledger balances prior to you signing off on that audit, correct?
I plan to.
You should, because
Yeah, I'm not just going to sign the letter.
right. So
I'm going to speak with the treasurer tomorrow and try to set up a time, hopefully either tomorrow, to go over it with her.
we'll get that button pushed.
And
Get those-
I was told the journal entries are made.
They're in
the
suspense, I'm
system.
assuming.
They're
They're suspended right
yeah.
now, yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Charlie?
So what are we gonna do now? Are we gonna vote on this, yes or no? Okay, now if we vote no on these two articles, they still gonna be on the ballot? They're not gonna, the ballots aren't made yet
You mean
for voting. For voting in March.
No, these are separate from the annual meeting in March.
Okay, when are these gonna be voted on?
Tonight.
Oh, tonight, okay. So we can throw this out right now? Okay.
So Charlie's question was, are these going to be carried into the March election? No, they're not. This is a special town meeting. We're going to vote tonight, you're going to vote tonight, whether you're going to approve or disapprove these warrant articles. They will not be repeated in March. That has already been set in stone and cannot be added to those warrant articles. So are there any other questions? There being none, is there a motion to approve or a motion to disapprove the warrant articles? I'm sorry, Steve. So a motion to disapprove the warrant article. To turn it down, to vote no. Yeah, you have to vote no or yes.
There's actually a motion to accept, and if you don't like it, vote no. But you can't make it a motion.
Right. So,
The motion was made earlier by Wendy to approve.
to approve. So we're voting whether you're going to approve or disapprove, so it's a yes or no. And so we'll do this. You all have the blue cards that are able to vote. So all of those in favor of warrant article number 2. Thank you, John. All of those that disapprove warrant article number 2, which is voting no. Okay. So the warrant article was voted no. It didn't pass. So warrant article number 3, to see if the town will vote to ratify the use of $326,000 to reduce the 2025 tax commitment and to appropriate said amount from the undesignated fund balance G1-520-00 to cover the expenditure. Select Board recommended yes, the Budget Committee voted yes. Note, the Select Board voted at the August 18, 2025 meeting to use $326,000 to reduce the 2025 tax commitment. A funding estimate to reduce the tax commitment was not presented on the March 14, 2025 warrant for voter consideration. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. So there's a motion to accept. Is there a second? Okay, there is a second. Are there any discussions? John?
And by Deborah, we've never voted on this before. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the people have never voted in the past to use undesignated funds to reduce tax commitment. This was done in August, so you can't vote on it in the previous March, because you don't know what your undesignated fund is. And if you put it off to vote the next March, if it gets voted down, you gotta go back and re-tax everybody for that money. So I think setting a precedent of voting on this is not a good move. We've never done it before. I don't know why it's being done now. I don't think anybody would ever, if the town has undesignated funds, which are, call it savings, and those monies can be used to reduce everybody's tax bill, I guess I can't imagine anybody ever voting against that. So I don't know why it's being brought forward now and it never has before.
Does the board have an answer to that question or a response? Any other questions, Lisa?
I just need clarification. Didn't the select board put this into effect in August? So are we double dipping it if we do it again? In August, they made that vote. They voted to do this. Now we're doing it again, so it's gonna be twice?
Well, what they're asking is for voter or legislative body approval to do that. It wasn't transferred last August as the select board voted on. So now they're asking for legislative body approval. And what John is saying, that it was not done in the past, and you're potentially setting a new precedence.
Okay,
So
okay. It's only one
when
time.
do,
Well, John, I'm sorry, I have to correct you. All the years that I was on the board, you have to ask the people to transfer from the unassigned account, to get their permission to lower, to set offset commitment. The last time this was done was in 2022 when I was on the board. And when I did that transaction, it was done prior to me, many years ago. You were expending money or moving money, which requires the vote of the citizens to do. If you look in the housekeeping articles, years prior, you will see to move money from the unassigned account to offset commitment. you did it in August by your recommendation, which you should have had a vote of the people at that time. We're now just ratifying it because you don't want to reverse it, because your taxes will go up because the O'Donnells did your tax calculation based on using that $326,000. If you don't use that $326,000, you'll go over $10.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? There being none. Article 2, shall the town vote to transfer, Article 3, get back to the right one. To see if the town will vote to ratify the use of $326,000 to reduce the 2025 commitment and appropriated said amount from the undesignated fund balance to G1 52000 to cover the expenditure. Again, the select board voted yes, the budget committee voted yes. All those in favor, raise your blue card. All those, keep them up, sorry, I was jumping the gun. You're okay? Right. All those against Article 3. Article 3 passed. So 326,000 will be transferred and used as an offset. Article 4, shall the town vote to transfer 30,000 from undesignated fund balance G1 52000 to capital reserves account for SCBA G3-62400. The select board recommends yes, the budget committee recommends yes. Note that transferring 30,000 will provide funding for the following articles passed on November 4th, 2025. Article 8, transfer 30,000 from G3642 project SCBA devices for the fire department. A warrant article authorizing the transfer of 30,000 from undesignated fund balance was worded incorrectly when being presented to the voters on November 4th, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Does this article have the same issue as Article 2?
Yes.
I'm sorry, are you asking, does this article have the same issue as Article 2 did, that it was approved by the voters, and if the adjusting entries are made, or when the adjusting entries are made, will this have the same result?
I make a motion to accept the article as written.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
what I was going to say.
I'm jumping, yep. So again, the question is, did you get clarity from the accountants on this article?
This has the same, according to the accountant, the same thing as I read prior, where once the entries are corrected, there will be sufficient money in the capital reserve account.
The answer to that is again, once the adjusting entries are made, it will, the monies will be available to transfer, thus it doesn't need to be taken out of undesignated. It is already there, and it will be transferred from capital reserves to the appropriate expenditure. So it is the same as Article 2. Any other questions or comments? There being none, will the voters raise your blue cards that approve Article 4? Raise your blue cards if you deny or say no to Article 4. Article 4 failed. There being no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We got a seconded. So, all those in favor of adjourning? We're adjourned. Thank you.
And we will reconvene at 7 p.m. for the public hearing for the March 13th warrant. right, good evening. The time is 7:02, and we will start the public hearing for the Friday, March 13th, 2026 warrant. So I will start reading. We have Article 1 through 51 to go through. Article 1 is to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Are there any questions on Article 1? Article 2, to elect by secret ballot 3 select board members, assessors, and overseers of the poor, 2 for a 3-year term and 1 for a 2-year term. 1 budget committee member for a 3-year term, 3 planning board members for 3-year terms, 1 RSU 57 director for a 3-year term, 2 library trustees for 3-year terms, 1 trustee of the Limerick Water District for 3-year term, 1 trustee of the Limerick Sewerage District for a 3-year term. Are there any questions on Article 2? Seeing none. Article 3, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $1,500 for St. Matthew's Food Pantry? Budget Committee recommended yes. Select Board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 3? Seeing none. Article 4, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $300 for the Saco River Corridor? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 4? Article 5, shall a town vote to raise and appropriate $500 for the American Red Cross? Select Board recommend yes. Budget recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 5? Article 6, shall a town vote to raise and appropriate $500 for Day 1 program? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 6? Article 7, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $797 for Life Flight? Budget Committee recommended yes. Select Board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 7? I'm seeing none. Article 8, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $1,052 for Caring Unlimited? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 8? Article 9, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $7,500 for invasive plants and boat monitoring? $2,500 will go to Lake Arrowhead Conservation Committee, $2,500 for the Secocas Lake Association, and $2,500 for Pickerel Pond Association. So $2,500 for each water body. Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 9? Yep. Caring Unlimited. No, it's okay. Article 10, shall the town vote to appropriate all funds received from snowmobile registrations from the state of Maine for the Limerick Snowmobile Club for the purpose of maintaining the snowmobile trails open for the public pursuant to 12 MRSA 13104. Select Board and Budget recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 10? Seeing none. Article 11 has subsections A through, not 45, A through O. They're the housekeeping articles. These are the same articles that are presented each year. The only thing that's changed is the dates to read 2026. Would anybody like me to read all A through O? Okay, we get a pass from Steve McLean. We're good. And the Select Board recommended yes on that. That one did not require a Budget Committee recommendation. Article 12, shall the town vote to appropriate $1,251,205 estimated revenues from excise taxes, fees, urban rural improvement program, department revenues, bank interest, and property tax interest to reduce the 2026 tax commitment? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 12? Wendy.
So the article that we just voted on tonight, the one for the $326,000, this is where that was always put, to transfer from unassigned to offset commitment. Now, I know that it's difficult a little bit lately to get that figure. There's several ways that you can do it. It's up to the board. You can take your lapse balances, as long as you're confident that all those balances are good at the end of the year. The only one that you don't take, I think it's the, I forgot the name of the account. Not important. But anyway, so you add all those up, and that's what I would use to transfer. Another way is to find out what your 3 months is based on your prior year's total tax expenses. Divide that by 12, multiply by 3, and that says what you need to keep in the unassigned. And if your unassigned is more, then you can transfer that amount of money or use it for other capital accounts. And that comes within your fund balance policy. I just thought I'd say that for you.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, Steve McLean, Budget Committee. That's all right in itself, but if this warrant worksheet that we're passing out, all right, says the Budget Committee recommends no. So
That was an error that was presented this morning, and not this morning, this evening, and Alicia is aware of it, and it is going to be corrected.
all right, can we destroy all the ones that are up there that we're passing out tonight? Because, I mean, this is the confusion I'm saying. All right, we're saying yes on this, but we tell people, look at your green sheet, and the green sheet says, Budget Committee recommends no.
Yep,
So
mistakes happen. We've
No,
found a
I'm
mistake
not
and-
saying it, but what I'm saying is we shouldn't be passing any more of these out. Because whoever took them tonight, if they're going to vote, well, Budget Committee said no, we'll say no, when that wasn't what it was. That's all I'm saying. Those should be discarded.
I will see that they are destroyed after the
before
meeting.
more. And we're gonna have a new version of this
Yep,
coming out?
yep. Should be out tomorrow.
Well, I'm just saying, just so we get rid of the old ones. Yeah, well, just so we get rid of them.
Are there any other questions on Article 12, or statements or comments? Seeing none. Article 13, shall the town vote to transfer $15,000 from the unassigned account to the contingency account and authorize municipal officers to utilize as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occur during the year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends no. Are there any questions on Article 13? Lisa?
Looking for clarification why the Budget Committee is saying no.
Would someone from the Budget Committee want to answer that? Yeah. Thank you.
Lori Harmon, Budget Chair. Some of these, I know people are confused about the no's, but when we did our votes and when we went over budgets, we didn't have the 2024 audit completed. We didn't know where any numbers are. So the Budget Committee, as a whole, pretty much, we're trying to cut down on the spending until we know where the books are at. Where are the funds at? How much do we have left over? All of the payables, where are we at today? We don't have that solid absolute. So when we voted on these over a month ago, we didn't even have the 24 audit back. So that's why we voted no.
So we let this go through. If it votes down, that's what I'm gonna say. If it votes down, then if we need money for you guys to pay some unexpected expenses, then we have to go for another special town meeting, which is a much greater expense because it costs us money to have every special, yes, it does cost us money to have special town meeting. You pay people. But if it needs it before or after that fact. But now we have the money. Correct?
Are there any other questions or comments on Article 13? Seeing none. Article 14, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $127,139 for Select Board and municipal support for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 14? Seeing none. Article 15, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $66,038 for tax collectors department for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 15? Seeing none. Article 16, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $40,993 for deputy tax collector for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 16? Seeing none. Article 17, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $40,993 for the deputy town clerk for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 17? Seeing none. Article 18, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $62,308 for the town clerk for the ensuing year? Budget and Select Board recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 18? Seeing none. Article 19, shall the town transfer the unexpended balance of $6,644 from the earned paid leave account for 2025 and vote to raise and appropriate an additional $16,509 for the ensuing year? Note transferring from the earned paid leave account $6,644 and raising and appropriating an additional $16,509 for total operations of the earned paid leave account of $23,153. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 19? Seeing none. Article 20, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $19,759 for elections for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 20? Seeing none. Article 21, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $163,126 for professional and legal for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends no. Are there any questions on Article 21? Seeing none. Article 22, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $78,000 for unemployment and workers' comp for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 22? Seeing none. Article 23, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $14,575 for Maine PERS retirement at a 9% employer match for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee both recommended yes. Are there any questions or comments on Article 23?
Brady, can you go back to workers' comp unemployment?
Yep.
So you have the unemployment insurance, workers' comp. Never mind, I'm set. Thank you.
Okay.
Brady,
Joanne?
can we go back to 21?
Yep.
I'd like to know why the Budget Committee recommended a no, and the reason I brought that up.
Would you be able to, sorry.
Well, the reason I brought this one back up is because I've had two people that have asked me, the way it's written, did they vote it down or vote no? Because it looks like it's $163,000 for legal, because that's what somebody asked me. Do we really spend that much on legal?
No.
And I'm going to ask people to please get a copy of the green sheet, because it totally breaks that down. And the legal expenses, I believe, is only budgeted for like $40,000. And the rest of those things we need. We need. So if they voted it down because of the legal expenses, then it leaves the rest of that in limbo.
Lori?
So I looked at a bunch of the green sheets and budgets and everything else earlier today, and that was one that I looked at, and it had pretty much across the board a 3.5% increase, regardless of what it was, regardless of what the expenditures were last year that were reported. It was a 3.5% increase. At the beginning of the budget season, the Budget Committee voted to flatline budgets aside from pay Pay obviously is going to get COLA, but we agreed that we wanted to flatline and not do an automatic 3.5% increase. And that budget had the 3.5% increase. That's why we voted no.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Article 24, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $102,408 for health insurance for the ensuing year? The select board recommends yes, and budget committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on that one? Seeing none, I will just say that that was a significant increase for the potential of 2 new employees hiring on.
What's the cost per person?
I think there's 2 reasons. If they don't accept, they can be reimbursed up to $500 a month for health insurance costs. So the reason for the increase was because of that, and if they did accept the health insurance premium. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Okay, so 6,000 opting out.
Yeah. Are there any other questions for Article 24? To the health insurance? I want to say it's employer paid. We pay the majority of it, or all of it. I mean, I can go back. Yeah, I mean, legal and professional went up for a different reason, for a bunch of different reasons. Joanne, to answer your question, it went from 142 to 163. We needed to significantly add more to the auditing budget. And one of the main reasons is we spent $9,200 on, or that we budgeted $9,200, but at the end of 2025, we had already spent over $27,000 for the auditor. So the reason for the increase in the professional legal was because of that. So for 2026, we budgeted around $25,000 as we're using a new auditor this year. All right, back to Article 24. Are there any other questions on the health insurance article? I am seeing none. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $18,275 for general assistance for the ensuing year? Both had a yes recommendation from the select board and the budget committee. That budget did stay the same. We had no increase on that one. Was there any questions on general assistance? Seeing none. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $45,625 for administrative costs for the ensuing year? Select board recommended yes. Budget committee recommended no. There was an increase of a little more than $2,000. Went from 43 to 45. The main increase was postage. Postage went up. Everybody has to mail some stuff. And stamps are getting more expensive. And we had to add money to our website administration because we had to make it ADA compliant. So that is why that went up. Is there any questions on Article 26? Seeing none. Article 27, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $99,323 for municipal building, Bricktown Hall, Grange Hall, old fire station, building repairs, fuels, utilities, etc. for the ensuing year? Budget committee recommended yes. Select board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 27?
Is there any plan to phase any of the older buildings out now that we're getting beautiful new buildings, like the new fire department, things of that nature?
There was some discussion last year about getting a study done on the old fire station. That the money for that project was voted down, and there are some. No. As of right now, there's not a plan.
Thank you
for disposing of them.
No problem.
Lisa.
This is a suggestion. 2 weeks ago, I think, we had my granddaughter's birthday party at the Bricktown Hall. Made a deposit of $100. We got it back. I think it's awesome that we do that. We're all taxpayers. But I think, as a person, it's my personal opinion, so you pay a $100 deposit, you get 50 back, 50 goes towards heat, lights, just so it doesn't cost everybody in the town who doesn't want to use the Bricktown Hall more money. It's just a thought. I don't think anybody would, $50 is pretty cheap for a day. So it would help offset a little bit. Not much, but it would offset.
Yep.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on Article 27? Seeing none. Article 28, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $74,857 for public areas and cemeteries for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on that one? Alicia?
I would love one of the budget committee members to explain a yes recommendation on that question since that budget is up 65%.
And the question that was asked for some of the people at home, in case it wasn't heard, was why did the Budget Committee recommend a yes on that one as it was up 65? 65%. It went up from 44,000 to 74,000.
Right, well, I think without any stuff in front of me, there was talk about tree removal.
Well, I'm just going off of Lori saying you weren't approving budgets, you were flatlining. You only not approving unless they're flatlined. If they were up, like, she said that professional and legal, because it was up 3.5%, was a no recommendation.
Right, some of the budgets, they had voted before I was on it anyway, to flatline budgets, so that's fine, okay? But when it came to this, if you go back through the tape, I think there was a lot of talk about Howard could talk more about it, about the trees. Wade, do you remember, was it, we were anticipating 20 or 25,000? Taking all the dangerous trees around the cemeteries is involved in this now.
It was, I think we went with 20. We went
Okay.
from 10 and then we increased it another 10
20,
to
just
20
because
and-
of the dangerous trees that are all.
I mean, there's no questions on
Okay, well,
why
that's
why it went up, but
That's why we voted, well, that's fine, each individual article,
But that's not what was said.
well,
it's the same thing that was said last week as well that I corrected.
yeah,
Is that-
I'm just saying, that's, the reason we went with it is because of the explanation about what needed to be done before all the stones and everything else got broken, all right, and probably next year we'll be able to lower that.
Well, yeah, I think just some of the question. I mean, I've even heard it at the grocery store. Is somebody said, you know, why did they vote yes on a budget that went up 59%, and then no on a budget that went up less than 3%? When they said that they're not going up on any, they're not recommending yes on any votes other than COLA. So I think that is just some of the confusion that's going around, and that the statement that Budget Committee is not recommending a yes vote on anything other than COLA is not an accurate statement. It may have been said at a meeting, but case by case basis it changes, and
Right.
I'm well aware of changing.
Extenuating circumstances, yes, but just a generic 3.5% increase just because doesn't justify the need for the increase.
Okay. Are there any other questions on Article 28? Oh, yep.
On the breakdown for this, it says that it's a 3-year contract at $35,405. Is that $35,405 per year for the next 3 years, or is that one expense of $35,000 for 3 years? So we won't see it on the next 2 years worth of voting.
For the mowing?
Yes, professional landscaping, 3-year contract.
I want to say
5/15/26 to 10/15/28.
that's per year.
Per year. Thank you.
Yep. Tony? Did I call you the wrong? You're Tony, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just thought of it in my head. I was like, did I call him the wrong name? Sorry.
I've been called worse than that before. I understand there's some endowments from the cemetery that, we've been paying for mowing the cemeteries for quite a while. And mowing is part of maintenance, and there's people there that have endowments up there, and that money should be used to help defer the cost. Whether it's cutting trees, mowing the grass, it's still maintenance of the cemetery. And none of those people would object, I'm sure, if you're saving stones. It's time, we got the trees, it's time to spend the money on cutting the trees. I'm sure nobody will object. There's a very prominent family that lived in Luthermore, that lived right in my residence, that's right there, and one of those big trees is right on his grave, and I'm sure him and his wife died within 3 days of each other of influenza. So I'm sure that nobody would object to using that money to cut the trees. We've been paying for mowing the grass.
Yep.
So I think you should use it.
Tony, just so you'll know, those accounts, there were stipulations on where that money could be used. I know the Durrell Trust was what, and I've gone down to the bank and asked them if they had a copy of it, and these banks have been bought out so many times, the paperwork, so far they haven't found it. But I know from previous years, I did read it once years ago, and it was specifically for the Durrell lot, because we found out that for the longest time, it wasn't maintained. And we had to go in and cut a lot of bushes and stuff to get.
Well, aren't those trees around the Durrell lot?
No. They're off the Durrell lot.
Well,
And
when we pay for mowing, take some mowing out every year then. I mean, that's maintenance.
Are there any other questions or comments on Article 28, Public Areas and Cemeteries? Seeing none. Article 29, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $107,807 for the Treasurer's Department for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 29? Lisa?
I was asking, what is the payroll company getting for pay? And I've been told anywhere between 12 and 17,000. You thought, wait, it was 12.5?
I thought it was 12.2, I believe.
12.2? And then I just found out tonight, Judy's doing a lot of, Judy LePage is doing multiple of Julie's entries to make sure it's done correctly. So, and she's not getting any more money. And actually, Julie makes more money than Judy, and Judy's doing a part of her job. I say it's time we take the cost of the payroll and what hours that Judy's are doing and take it out of Julie's funding. She's not doing the job. She's getting paid to do the whole job, and she's not doing it. You're gonna do the job, you do it all, and do it right, and you get paid.
I did say this last week. It was the Select Board's recommendation to have the payroll company instated. It wasn't the treasurer that asked for it. I just want to get that out there.
So how do we get it so that it comes out of her pay? It's her job. That was part of her job description when she chose to run as treasurer. She's chosen not to do it, then that part of her pay should come out to pay for it. So the taxpayers aren't paying another $12,200 to do the payroll that we're paying Julie to do that she's not doing. Just a thought.
I don't have the accounting right here, but I believe the contract that we have with the payroll service is $100,000 a year.
No, $1,000 a month, 12 times.
Okay, correct me.
Oh, you thought I had a heart attack.
Yeah.
shouldn't be double paying for one job. I say we vote down Article 29 and get it right.
Walter Rucker. Same subject. What about the assistant that we hired for the treasurer? Didn't we hire an assistant when she was ill or fell ill and she needed some help?
We had somebody come in to assist on while she was out.
And are they still here?
No.
Okay. So she has no help.
She does have a deputy in that office.
And were they hired after her?
Julie appoints her own deputies, but I think the deputy was appointed, I want to say a little over a year ago now.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is, was it a package deal for the treasurer, or did we hire the treasurer and then had to have a deputy also?
The treasurer was entitled to the deputy. The previous treasurer had a deputy.
Okay.
All right. I can't find that. But, are there any other questions on Article 29? Seeing none, Article 30. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $226,731 for the Code Enforcement, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Tax Assessing for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions on Article 30? Seeing no questions on Article 30, shall the town vote to raise, Article 31, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $655,994 for the operations of the waste and sanitation for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 31? Seeing none, Article 32. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $255,560 for the operations of the repair of highways for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 32? Seeing none, Article 32 was one of the ones that had a major, a main increase, went from 199,985 to 255,260, and it was in various different spots throughout the budget. All right, with no questions, Article 33. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $400,000 for the paving of town roads for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions or comments on Article 33? Seeing none, that one also went from 300 to 400,000. Article 34, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $629,340 for the snow removal of town roads, town properties, and sidewalks for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 34? Yep.
Sort of a package deal for 32, 33, and 34. Is there any reason why those aren't all in one item for upkeep of roads, as opposed to being broken down into 3 different items?
So they were the paving and the road commissioner was previously in one budget, and then it was requested to have it removed. So if we still want a road commissioner but don't want to pave any roads, it can be voted down, yes or no. And then snow removal was also clumped in with a couple different things, and we decided to pull snow removal out. So snow removal is its one thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on Article 34? Seeing none. Article 35, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $881,850 for the operations of the fire department / emergency personnel for the ensuing year? Select Board recommended yes. Budget Committee recommended no, and Chief Welsh has a few things to say about this budget.
I'm not going to reel numbers off, I promise. Last week I did give you guys a couple numbers that were incorrect. In my final budget, I did deduct that $18,000 from the telephone and cable bill, so that's not in there, as well as lowered the vehicle maintenance cost. I'm just going to read these 4 if I could. Vehicles went from $15,000 down to $18,000. Buildings and grounds, 7,000 to 12,500. That's less of an increase of what I said last week. We had a one-time bill. We ended up spending 16,000 last year. We will not see that bill again this year. Electric was 12,500, increase to 18,000, and telephone and cable remains 7,500. So if you have that sheet from last week, just get rid of that because it's incorrect. I have new ones up here, as well as a document that's 4 pages that explains every line item. If anybody has any questions, just reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on Article 35? Tony? Oh.
I'd just like to make a comment about the water and sewer bill on here. When the fire department was across the street, and it was a volunteer department, the water district gave them the water and sewer as our compliment for appreciating the services of the volunteer fire department. When it became a paid department, we put meters in here, and they're charged for the water and sewer. They do have lines overhead that fill the trucks, and we can put deduct meters on it if they use quite a bit of water that way, and that way they won't be paying sewer bills on the water that's filling the trucks. We can put a deduct meter in there, and we can deduct that off in there. But when it became a full-time fire department, and they were washing trucks a lot more, and they were using a lot more water, we have to account for that water. So I just wanted to know, the chief doesn't have a problem with it, and we try to work well with him. And when they had the fire on Watson Hill Road, we now have SCADA, so that when they have the fire, the operator can look at SCADA and see exactly what's going on in the tanks and the tank levels at all times. So if we can just get a call when there's a big fire, he can start the pumps and right from his phone and
Get it going.
technology. It's above me. but-
Thank you.
But it works.
Steve McLean. So Tony, like when we had the fire, we used the fire hydrant? Did we get billed for the water coming out of the fire hydrant? No, okay, so the only time we're getting billed, Jared had mentioned that when we fill the trucks, which is not that often here, if we use the hydrant, we're not getting billed. So it's out, instead of using 100,000 gallons getting billed, we're not. Okay. All right, just for clarification, so people know that.
We would like a little help though on the clearing of the snow and the fire hydrants, especially on the sidewalk going downtown. When you put that contract out again, we'd like to have the hydrants on that walkway as part of the sidewalk cleaning. Right now, they go by them and they just shoot right on the hydrants. And, if it's a cold night and it's freezing on the hydrants, it's all frozen snow, so.
We are in the process of rewriting that contract, so we can add that in.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Lisa.
I'm just asking for clarification from the Budget Committee why you're saying no. I asked this during the candidates' night, and their only comment back to me was they're spending too much money. Where are they spending too much money? And what do they recommend we do different? Because they're saving lives every day. You can't put a price on a life.
So first of all, I want to thank Jared for sitting down and talking with me recently. He was not at any of the Budget Committee meetings to present the budget. So I recently had a sit down with him and went over some of my concerns with him specifically. and I actually appreciate the adjustments in numbers. I do have a question, though, on equipment. Why we are, on an annual basis, collecting money for equipment when we have a rescue capital fund to help fund that. That the whole purpose of the rescue funds and are specific for equipment, capital projects, vehicles, buildings, but it does specify any equipment used in rescue. So why are we continuously adding these amounts into budgets every year when we're already getting, that account is just building and building and building from revenues? So we don't have that. We could be using a portion of that to offset the cost to the community. Just my personal. I mean, at the time, the budget committee never got a chance to talk to Jared.
But
Part of-
Vinny was there, and he was
Vinny
the
was
chief
there.
at the time.
But we need to have the budgets ahead of time so we can review them. We don't, when Vinny walks in and says, by the way, yes, I gave you a budget, but here, let me give you something new tonight. It doesn't work when we're voting on it right then. That's not the time to bring us a budget. It makes it very difficult for us to look at things and say, well, okay, yeah, okay, he needed that increase, and I will say that I have heard Vinny personally say, after we've voted on budgets, that he padded the budget. So when I look at a budget that's even higher the following year, it's a really tough pill to swallow, especially when you're looking at it last minute. It's handed to you last minute, and you don't have a chance to look at and compare expenditures, et cetera, with the proposed budgets. So the budget committee had to vote on what we received that night. So, but like I said, you know, I appreciated Jared sitting down with me. Had I had that opportunity beforehand, before we all had to vote, and I think if the entire budget committee had that opportunity to sit down with Jared and go through it like he did with me, because we spent, what, an hour, maybe two, actually going through it, I may have voted differently, especially with his willingness to adjust numbers like he's done. But I do still have an issue with the equipment section where we have that special account that has quite a bit of money sitting in it.
So I believe something changed years ago, and you guys may be more aware of it than I am, but I believe that account was only for vehicles. It changed from, it used to be supplies at some point, and then they changed it to vehicles only because the cost was going up. So we have three proposals right now for ambulances, and they're about 400 to 500,000, and two of them are about 2 years out. So with the 800,000 we have right now, I talked to Julie, we're getting 2.7% interest on that, so hopefully when we buy this, we'll have an extra, $40,000 in there. But after that, we bought the engine 3 that's out there with that money from that line. If anybody just saw that news program about fire trucks in Maine, they're about 2 million, like $1 million to 2 million. They're absolutely ridiculous. So the next truck that we buy, I mean, this is the oldest one we have is a 99. When we replace this is going to cost us 800,000. And that needs to be done at some point coming up. But if the town wants to change that and wants equipment and stuff to come out of that money from the ambulance, we can do that. But it's kind of just been put away for when we need trucks. But I'm open to whatever the town wants to do.
At what you're saying, though, for the amount of it's costing for this equipment, that's not a sustainable.
So with the equipment,
fund.
the equipment lines in here are EMS and fire equipment. Those didn't change from last year. So we have 5,000 for medical, And I think that's what she's referencing. Correct, Lori? Are you saying the equipment line under like EMS and fire? So the EMS equipment is absolutely insane. So we just had attractions.
No, that one you and I talked about.
Yeah.
That one, I'm talking about more the protective gear, the radios.
Okay.
You know, it's the building up that, it's the little things that add up.
Gotcha,
to the
okay.
larger chunk that maybe every other year we could take out of that.
Understood.
Especially since we can apply for grants.
Yeah.
for equipment.
One other question.
Yes.
Have you looked into, like, the rescue unit that you're looking to replace? About taking the box off and
We did
all
look
that
into it,
option?
and it was about $100,000 cheaper, but we'd be out of an ambulance that entire time if we did that. I believe it was about 100,000. But it's also years out, so with the 2-year lead time, we would essentially have $42,000, I think, 2.7% on the 800,000 we have. Plus, I believe we brought in about 220 or 240,000 in ambulance billing last year. So in a couple of years, we should be good to buy another vehicle, but I feel like that's gonna bring our count very low. We'll be pretty much be starting again.
Right.
But our ambulances being more on that 5-year replacement schedule, whereas right now they've kind of come together a bit.
Is it,
Howard, can you talk into the mic?
oh, pardon me. No, I'll never,
Okay.
Can you also tell people what your percent increase is for your budget from last year, just so they,
The,
total increase?
the total increase.
Do you have, like, just from last year?
I don't have that written down. It's 3.8% on the personnel budget, 1.5 on the operations budget.
I think that's important.
You guys have
I'd like to address the rescue billing and how that came, back in 2011, I believe it was voted on by the townspeople to use that money to go towards rescue units and fire trucks and that. And then it was also voted again, I think in 2019, to take a certain dollar amount from that to pay on payroll, but I think that got overwritten. And then when this building was built, there's supposed to be 25,000 coming out every year to go towards the payment. Has that been addressed, the 25,000, or was that an automatic?
It was put in to be automatic until,
So when the payment was calculated, the payment's 122,000. Was the payment supposed to be decreased by that amount? I don't recall.
I can look at the way the question, I know that we had it on there last year. Let me look.
Yeah, because that would help on the payment side. It's not going to impact the mill rate, we know that.
Steve McLean. Well, what Wendy said was true. We've taken that 25,000, we've rated that a little bit each year, okay? But if we're bringing in 200 or 150 a year, we keep building that up. And that's why we were able to buy an ambulance and an engine last time. We may not be able to do that, but originally we set up to buy an ambulance, which is good. Lisa, I think Lisa's question was, now Jared just said he's cut like 18 or 20,000 off that budget. Okay, and I'll sit here and say it again. And Jared apologized for not going, but as a budget committee member that's elected, all right, somebody's got to come and present the budget. Okay, and you said Vinny come over, he gave us a bunch of stuff, but that wasn't the budget.
That was, the budget that Vinny gave you was the budget that.
Yeah, and Jared was coming back.
Can I just want to be clear that I gave incorrect numbers last week. The budget that people have in front of them would be
Just last
881.
week.
Right,
That still remains the same. I didn't cut anything from that.
okay,
It's just my original, what I was speaking about last week was cut off that budget.
right,
So
okay.
it still remains the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but what I'm saying is, clarification, if he had come to that last meeting we had, where we all voted, certainly would have made a difference, all right? And the following week, when I was eating supper, Vinny come over for half an hour and talked, and he said, "Did Jared go?" And I says, "No, he didn't." And he says, I told him he had to go. All right, so misunderstanding probably will never happen. In the 20 years I've been involved with the budget committee, we've had people present their budget. You can shake your head, Brady, all you want.
Well, no, Vinny did present the budget. And
Yes.
was there, I mean, I don't think there was many department heads that came to that last meeting.
The final meeting when we went over, going over everything, Jared was
There was
gonna
like
be
2
there.
department heads though, so I don't know why we're hammering it on Jared. Or anybody, I mean, why aren't we
Doesn't
hammering
matter
it
what
on
the,
other
that's the
department
biggest,
heads?
that's the biggest budget we got, okay? So,
Are there any other questions on Article 35? Tony?
I'd just like to say that the fire department and rescue department has come a long ways in the last 5 years. My son fell through the roof, fell 14 feet, 5 minutes. They were at my place picking him up. We really appreciate that. It's worth the money, folks. It could have been deathly. He fell 14 feet, he could have landed on his head, could have been the end of it.
Are there any other questions or comments on Article 35? Seeing none. Article 36, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $7,100 for emergency management services for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 36? Seeing none. Article 37, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $19,821 for the animal control officer for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes, Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 37? Seeing none. Oh. Article 38, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $10,300 for constable for the ensuing year? Select Board recommended yes, Budget Committee recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 38? Seeing none. Article 39, shall the town raise and appropriate $87,884 for streetlights and hydrant rentals for the ensuing year? Select Board and Budget recommend yes. Are there any questions or comments on Article 39?
Again, for clarification, wow, that's really low. Again, for clarification, it was mentioned earlier that we don't pay for the water that comes out of the hydrants. Is that included in this number? We don't pay for that, it's just to upkeep the hydrants themselves?
The hydrant rental itself. Yep.
Okay.
The use of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on Article 39? Seeing none. Article 40, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $97,981 for the operations of the library department for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes, Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 40? Seeing none. Article 41, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $28,250 for the recreation department for the ensuing year? Select Board recommends yes, Budget recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 41? Seeing none. That one was a significant decrease as well, from 44,000 down to 28,000. Article 42, shall the town vote to adopt the ordinance exhibit financial reports, which require the treasurer to produce weekly and quarterly financial reports, to transmit such reports to the Select Board, and to exhibit such reports on the town's website. All is set forth in the proposed ordinance available with the town clerk and on the town website. Select Board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 42? Lisa?
Who's gonna hold her accountable for doing this? Doesn't do it now.
It's not an ordinance now. I know when she took her oath, she swore to, as we all did, whoever takes oaths, swore to follow the ordinances. So if she doesn't follow the ordinances, I would assume we'd have to talk to her as well as the citizens, but there's no real, like, she is her own boss. we are not her bosses.
Right.
So, I mean, the
And
townspeople.
you guys can't talk to her.
We can talk to her.
Well, you can't, yeah,
We can't enforce
right.
on some things.
So.
Yep.
I'm not saying anything negative about anybody. I'm just gonna say that when someone, and you can check this out, I check it out through MMA, check it out through the town attorney, whoever you wanna check it out with. But anytime someone runs for office, you could write an article or ordinance that states what that job description is, what it entails, so that way, when they do run for the office, that they need to meet this criteria, or there's no sense of them being there. Ordinances, they need to be followed regardless who it is. They're not above anybody. The townspeople, the people in this room are the bosses of all of you. You know, I hate saying that, but that's the truth, you know. And so ordinances are good and ordinances can be bad. Just think about when you're writing them and putting them out there.
Specific to Article 42, would there be any additional costs to upgrade the website or make any changes to make this happen?
No. We're already, once we get them, we post them on there now, but this one, with this ordinance, there'll be a more regular, the idea with this ordinance, there'd be a more regular weekly posting of them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on Article 42 or comments? Seeing none. Article 43, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $122,726 for interest and principal payments for debt services for the ensuing year for the new fire station payment. There's a note, this is payment 2 of 20 years. Budget and select board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 43?
So are you gonna look into the 25,000 that was promised to you to
Yes.
go down that and it to come out of rescue billing? It was part of the, when this building was being built and all those articles that were put out there. I just think that it's a good gesture back to the townspeople from the fire department.
Steve?
Steve McLean, so is that 122 that we're gonna raise? So are we paying 150 something? We adding 20,
That's the payment, 122, 726.
including the 25 that we're kicking in from the rescue billing, is what I'm saying. So.
Are we
you got-
paying 147, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? That was my question. My question was, is going to reduce that payment back towards the townspeople from the rescue billing, or will we continue to pay the regular payment plus another 25,000, which would go to the principal, which would reduce your time of the loan?
Right, can we find that out? Something that'd be interesting.
Wendy just asked if we're going to find it out, and we said yes.
Okay, okay.
Listen,
Are there any other questions on Article 43? Seeing none. Article 44, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $57,500 for paving and excavation work at the transfer station? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Are there any questions or comments on Article 44? Seeing none. Article 45, shall the town vote to establish a new capital account in Fund 3 titled Capital Project Grant Acquisition for the purpose of supporting professional services and costs associated with preparing grant applications for restoration, renovation, preservation, handicap accessibility, and energy efficiency projects for the town of Limerick properties. The Select Board recommended yes. Are there any questions on Article 45? Seeing none. Article 46, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the purpose of supporting grant acquisition activities, including professional services and costs associated with preparing revitalization grant applications in said funds to be applied to capital project grant acquisition account. Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 46? So Article 46 and 47, they go to the same account, so the estimated spending is 10. total. So raise and appropriate 5 and transfer 5 from the undesignated. Are there any other questions on Article 46? No. Article 47, shall the town vote to transfer 5,000 from the unassigned fund balance into capital account entitled Capital Project Grant Acquisition? So $10,000 will be funded in that account if both of these articles pass. Are there any questions on Article 47? Seeing none. Article 48, shall the town vote to transfer $10,000 from the unassigned fund balance to a capital project reserve account to be set up named dry hydrants under the fire department? This was appropriated already from the March 2025 ballot. The select board recommends yes, and the budget committee recommends yes. Are there any questions on Article 48? Steve?
One question is, why didn't we add this to the other ones for the special town meeting? Because the money's already there. The money was already appropriated. This was another one that fell into that
Yeah,
category.
the other ones for the special town meeting were accounts that were, the capital project accounts were already set up, and money had been spent out of them. This one, the money has not been spent.
No, but we already appropriated the money. It
Yep.
just never got moved. So it's similar to the other ones we had first.
It wasn't originally on the warrant to be set up as a capital project account. That's what this warrant is for.
Right. Yeah, so it's just so we can make more dry hydrants.
It's to repair the ones that we have. Yep, if needed. Are there any other questions on Article 48? Lisa, I saw you had your hand up. Are you still? Article 48. Okay. Seeing no other questions on Article 48,
Is there a list for grants, any idea what we're going to be aiming for? I mean, a wish list?
the Revitalization Committee has presented the Select Board with recommendations for town revitalization projects, but this account would be for anything that comes up.
Well, like repairs or?
Repairs, restoration, renovation, preservation, or handicap accessibility, and
Thank
energy
you.
upgrades. Thank you. Was there any other questions on Article 48? Seeing none. Article 49, shall the town vote to appropriate funds from the town's cable franchise fees and expend those funds for the town's share of the Saco River Community Television Regional Public Access Facility, equipment and related cost of $33,682, with said amount expended not to exceed the amount that the town receives from the cables company's franchise fees. Are there any questions on Article 49? Seeing none. Article 50, shall the town vote to transfer $53,000 from the unassigned fund balance account to the repair of highway account? Note, this will be to complete shoulder gravel work on Stone Hill Road. Select Board recommends yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Walter?
Why are we not pulling this out of this year's paving? Why are we double dipping? This is something that should have been finished last year. What was last year's paving amount total? Contract.
300.
Okay, 300,000. And we've gone up to 400,000. And now we're asking the people for another 53,000. That puts us over $700,000.
It's being transferred from it was already, it was already appropriated last year and not spent, so that's why it's being transferred from unassigned.
So it's not additional.
No, so they had a budget of 300,000 and they only spent 247. So 53 rolled into the unassigned fund, and that 53 was supposed to be for shoulder gravel work. So
I was under the impression that was gonna be extra.
No.
Instead of raising or appropriating it again, they want to transfer it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's it.
All right. Are there any other questions on Article 50? Questions or comments? Seeing none. There's a note here, if all the articles are passed as the select board recommends, Limerick is within the LD1 tax levy limit for 2026, as it also was for 2010 to 2025. The following article is proposed as insurance in case the state does not fully fund its obligation to the town, and any unforeseen circumstance or any unforeseen expenditure becomes necessary in the upcoming year. Article 51, shall the town vote to increase the property tax levy established for the town of Limerick by the provisions 30A MRSA 5721-A in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax limit. Are there any questions on Article 51? Seeing no questions, with that being said, Article 1 through 51 has been reviewed. With no other public comment, the time is 8:08 p.m. and we will, Wendy.
One of the things I would recommend for the board to do, and possibly the budget committee or someone on the committees, I understand it was a difficult year to do your budgets based on information that you were receiving or not receiving. I would keep, and it's a recommendation of the auditor too, is to keep Excel spreadsheets on all of your projects that you have going through, all of the, I call them kind of off the mainstream of the revenue and the expenses, because that's outside everything you're voting on right now, like your revenues and expenses is to raise and appropriate, and then your other transactions you're taking out of the unassigned. You want to keep track of that going forward. Have your 2024, go through your 2025, see what things have happened that you've taken out of unassigned for projects, see what you've expended, and now all the things that you're doing for 2026, so that you can keep track of what's going on. There are a lot of capital accounts. I've heard that complaint, and unfortunately, that's what you have to have unless you can have some sort of sub-account off that reserve account. The reserve account is your savings account. Every other account are accounts that, the reserve account, the main one, you have to get voter approval to move those funds. Once you get them into a project account, you have the authority to spend those funds. There are time limits. There is an ordinance out there, an article that limits it to, I believe it's 5 years on some of these items. But that's my recommendation, because you need to know what you have going on. I know there's been a transition, from one treasurer to another, and it just makes things a hell of a lot easier. That's my recommend. And I have templates if you want them.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, the time is 8:10, and we will close the public hearing. We will have our normal select board meeting with a workshop ahead of it at 6 p.m. on Monday. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.